Yeah, we use QuickBooks. It just helps keep everything really organized. We can input all of the income, all of our donations, all the expenses, and then just come out with a profit and loss or a balance sheet statement. We also input our budget, so we can just keep track monthly, and it helps with delivering the reports that the board reviews, and it just keeps everything super organized, super easy to modify. You can just go in and change anything, except after you close for the year. For our auditors, we have to close the year end because we're on an accrual basis. After that, you need you probably shouldn't change anything, but for like month-to-month purposes, it's very easy to go and modify things. Because it can be, when you first start using QuickBooks, there's just so many different parts of it. You know, you have like the income and the expenses, and if you ever have a question, like, you can just look it up and find your answer pretty quickly. And it can look like a really difficult program to master and get the hang of using, but just any questions you have, just Googling or looking up on YouTube, they just provide there's so much help to learn the program online. Like, if I ever have a question of something I don't know how to do in QuickBooks, or it's giving me like an error message, I just Google like the exact words of my problem, and the results will usually come up with, you know, like somebody else has also had the same question, and so there'll just be like discussion threads where people can tell you like what they found that worked and trying different things. And then if it's, you know, YouTube also has a bunch of videos of just like how to fix your problems. And any problem I've had, I just found it really, just a quick Google search, I can just solve the problem pretty quickly. I think QuickBooks is it's one of the more simple accounting programs that you can use. And then, you know, there's always like they have their own website where you can go for questions, and if you don't know how to do something, you can Google it, but it's very simple. They just have like a menu at the top for like reports and banking, and you can keep all your employees in there. We use it for payroll. Yeah, there's just lots of different features.
I'm Jamie Lovell, the director of Natrona County Meals on Wheels. I've been here 18 years. Prior to that, I did have some background in accounting, doing accounts payable, payables, receivables. If you do decide to do your own accounting work and not have an outside source do that, you need to take some time to really look at what you need out of an accounting system and what you think will work. QuickBooks is the go-to, but it may be maybe not the best for you. QuickBooks might not suit your needs if you want to look at more of a permanent solution to your accounting system. Yeah, it integrates very easily with several different ones, but there's a lot of different accounting systems that are batch-driven, that are hard-coded, and everything is, once you post something, it's actually posted. You can't go in and change it. So batch-driven means like when you do an accounts payable or accounts receivable or payroll, it creates a temporary file that you can change or alter, but once you post to the general ledger, you can't change it, whereas in QuickBooks you still can. So if you want a system that's a little more rigid, that doesn't allow you to make any changes after something's been posted to your general ledger, those are the kind of systems you want to look at. Oracle is one of them. That's the only one I can think of off the top of my head. But if you want a system that is a little bit more accurate and not as easy. So, you know, you just want to take some time, maybe do a little research. You might even want to contact an accountant in your area if you have one, or maybe reach out to an accountant in another area and let them know what you're looking for and what your needs may be. They may be able to help you be able to make it the accurate choice for your business. You know, some systems do come with their own chart of accounts, but as a nonprofit, I wouldn't suggest using those. Maybe you might want to use it for a starting point, but if you want to do any if you want to do any cost centers, like, with us, we have to track our funding through grants and through program administration, things like those. You might want a little more detailed chart of accounts so that you can track where your funding is going through, if you want to track it by grant, or if you want to track it by what funding stream you're using it for, or what program you're using it for. You might not want to go with a chart of accounts that's canned out of the box. But it is a good place to start if you don't have an idea. Most accounting systems, I think, don't they, Mariah? Most accounting systems have a chart of accounts. There's probably a template. You can always Google it. Again, it doesn't hurt to ask an accountant for some help once in a while. They may not charge you if you just say, hey, I need a little help. How would you set up a general ledger? Where do you start? And it's pretty basic. You can Google it too. I'm sure there's a lot of information out there about setting up a chart of accounts. There's no basic budgeting packages in the accounting systems that I've looked at. That doesn't mean that there's not some, or it's not something you can add on. A lot of accounting softwares have things you can add on to them. Yeah, you can customize them to meet your needs. Again, it doesn't hurt to go back to your accountant or someone who does accounting and ask them what they think the best way to set up. Mariah might be a little bit better at that, but it's a pretty standard chart of accounts. Charts of accounts, aren't they?
Sorry, I'm not listening. What?
A chart of accounts, when you set that up, it's pretty standard.
Right. Yeah.
You start with 1,000s and work your way down. Yeah.
And then just get more as you.
Yeah. And so when you start out with a chart of accounts, you start with the basics. You can have categories by adding 1,000.1, 1,000.2, 1,000.3 to your accounts as you break things out between grant funding or program funding or administration or project, whatever. If you have a lot of the senior centers have different services they provide as well. Personally, if I was looking for a new system, I would look for one that is more permanent posting to your general ledger. For instance, QuickBooks has great support. It's very easy to use, but most accounting systems are. Once you get the general idea down, it's pretty easy to figure out how to maneuver through any software, but it just depends on, again, how permanent of a solution you want. If you want something that's going to, so by permanent I mean a more secure accounting system. You don't want to just use an Excel spreadsheet. That's not an appropriate way to track funding, especially federal and state funding. You want to have something that's a little more, you want to have something that's stable and that you can trust is going to work for your organization. A lot of the programs nowadays have sample companies or is a sample system, whether it's cloud-based or whether it's on your actual server or your computer. So, it wouldn't hurt to ask that company for a demonstration. You can call them, ask them for a demonstration of how the system works. You can also ask them if they can set up a sample company for you to go in and kind of play around in to see if you think it's easy enough. Well, I think when you're looking for an accounting system and support, again, QuickBooks has great support. They have online people. There's online questions. You can call a phone number and they'll help you, and it doesn't cost you anything. I don't know about other companies. They may charge you a per incident fee. They may not. It just depends on what their requisites, well, not requisites, but what they're charging you. But a lot of times you can pay for consulting or tech help up front in a package deal. When you're looking at any accounting system, if you already have a budget in place, if you already have your general ledger in place, whether it even be an Excel spreadsheet, you want to make sure that you're able to input any past history into an accounting system. You want to be able to convert the data you have to the new system. So you want to make sure that you have the tools or they have the tools to be able to move that. No one wants to set anything up from scratch, especially if you already have some kind of system in place. You want to make sure that that history carries over so that you're not trying to work two systems or balance two systems. And you want to make sure that Any reports that you need are customizable if you want to be able to print a report, or if you wanted to change a report to fit your needs, you want to be able to make sure that any reports that come out are customizable. Check specs are also that same, because every printer is different. You want to make sure when you're to print a check, it's going to line up with your system. When I was looking at some of the newer, I haven't done accounting systems in many years, but when I was looking at them, I thought Oracle would be a good solution for a company that was mid to large size, that maybe you can run one or more companies off of. You can run several general ledgers, and it uses a batch accounting system. Again, like I said, a batch accounting system is something where you create a set of accounts payable or accounts receivables or a payroll. Once you've approved that and everything's gone through, you post it, and that is sent to your general ledger and cannot be changed. So once you've set upon something, it's set in stone. You can't go back and change it. And that's why I liked it. Less opportunity for fraud or embezzlement. Well, like I said, if you have more than one program, or you want to run more than one set of books for whatever, then you need to make sure you're able to have multiple companies, multiple cost centers, multiple accounting ways to track all your different funding. You want to have the flexibility to be able to have more than one company, track more than one chart of accounts, or have more than one budget. So if you have home health, or if you have home delivered meals, you have congregate meals, you have any kind of thing that has to do other than just one program. So if you have more than one program, for example, you have housekeeping, you have adult daycare, you have home delivered meals, you have congregate meals, you have maybe the WISE program, and you want to be able to track those grant funding separately, that you have the flexibility to do that in the accounting system. You need to do some research. If you're going to call a company and ask them how their accounting system works, you need to know what to ask. You need to know the things to ask. You need to know, and again, maybe that's where you get a hold of an accountant and say, hey, these are the things I'm looking for. What do I ask? What am I looking for? And be able to convey that to any software company to be able to get across to them what you need in an accounting software. Well, I think when it comes to evaluating a software system that you're using, you do need to look at what your knowledge base is and what you need to get out of a program. Trying to figure out, I guess it comes on your size of center, the reporting that you're doing, the money you're dealing with, and also what reports are wanted by your funders. So, we know that the federal and state want certain reports, and you need to make sure that you can pull that information out easily and accurately. I think if you're talking about what vantage point you're looking at, are you looking at a software from a director standpoint? Are you looking at a software from a bookkeeper standpoint? Are you looking for a software from a project director standpoint? So I think you need to educate. If you are in accounting or you have some kind of accounting background, you're going to be a little more acclimated and know the lingo. If you're new coming in, you need to do some research, or again, talk to someone who knows the things that you're looking for in an accounting software. We are a nonprofit, so having a small business or a nonprofit version of a software is also very helpful. If you don't have any ideas whatsoever, it doesn't hurt to reach out to other nonprofits in your community or other senior centers across the state of Wyoming to see what they're using, what they find helpful, and maybe something on your own program size. So, we have a $2.3 million budget. I'm going to need something that's a little heftier and has a little more tracking capabilities than someone with a $10,000 budget. So you want to look at centers that are in your range, or nonprofits that are in your range, or businesses in your range, and find out what they're using. It doesn't hurt to ask somebody for help. If you need help in finding an accounting solution for your business needs, it is very helpful to reach out to a local nonprofit or small business or large business, depending on your budget size. Find out what they're using and see how it works for them. Maybe have them tell you what they like about it and what they don't like about it. It's helpful to get insight before you do some research on your own, just to know where to start.